Hello and welcome to Raw's Daily Drive, the vlog where I talk about random stuff and meander my way randomly through the conversation. Today's topic, I'm going to cover going camping. Something very simple, very straightforward, and yet incredibly nuanced, I feel. There's a lot of different ways to go camping, in my opinion. Some people would be like, the only way to go camping is to just take a pack, go out, sleep under the stars, and to them, that's camping. For other people, the only camping is, you go out, you set up your tent, and, get a little campfire going, and to them, that's camping. And some people, say, hey, I'd like to, get my camper all ready to go, stock it all up, and take it out, find some nice place to set up, maybe a campground or such, and set it up, and to them, that's camping. For me personally, all of these things are all camping. I don't feel that there's any one way to do camping. It's a very, very diverse activity, and you get out of camping as much as you put into it, I think. For me, it's like going out. I enjoy going tent camping. I enjoy taking a camper out and going camping that way. I don't think I would necessarily want the most luxurious camper that feels like you didn't leave home. To me, personally, that feels kind of like you're missing the point a little bit. But I suppose it again depends on what you do while you go camping. Because just taking something out and sleeping someplace elsewhere, that's part of camping, sure. But one would argue, well, if that's all camping is sleeping somewhere else that's not your house, is going to a hotel camping. I don't really think that it is personally. I'm sure there are some people who consider that the only way to camp. And if that's the case, that's their decision. That's their definition of camping. I enjoy taking a tent out. And what tent I take out is going to depend on what time of year it is, what the weather's going to be like, how many bugs they may have to deal with, and various other factors. And I can say I have gone camping in everything from a tiny little, dome tent, even a military-style half-shelter pup tent style thing, complete with the OD green canvas, and that was a very bad night, but not because there was anything wrong with the tent per se. It was just very cold, way colder than it was expected to be, and I'm talking, we had frost inside the tent. That was not a good night. That was we're packing up, we're leaving, and if we had not been at a friend's, family member's location at the time, we would have had to probably lost the tent, because the ground had gotten so cold that the tent stakes literally froze into the ground. We couldn't budge them. It's 3:30 in the morning, tired, we're cold. It was not enjoyable. So, and let that be a thought of, hey, just because it's warm during the day doesn't mean it's going to stay that way during the night. That's a rookie mistake on my part. I made it many, many years ago. I've learned a lot more since then. Other tents I've owned or used or had, everything from a big, 2-room tent. Most of these are modern tents. Standard nylon, fiberglass poles. I've had some of the slightly older tents that had the metal poles. And all of these have various pros and cons to them. In hot weather, less worried really about privacy. Generally speaking, I don't consider myself a super modest person. Sure, if I'm going to be changing or something like that, trying to drop a green fly, I'm not just going to be like, hey, look at me. But overall, if I'm dressed and I'm in my tent, there's not really a whole lot that I'm doing. I think, generally speaking, that I think that I need privacy for. I'd rather have the air, honestly. I'd rather have, breeze flowing from the tent. You don't want to walk into your tent to lay down and rest or whatnot and walk in and go, ugh, it's hot here, yuck. You want your tent to be your comfort area, or the place where you go and lay down and rest and relax, free from bugs, and give yourself that little divide and comfort from the outside world. Cooler temperatures, it just depends on how long I'm going to be camping, how much effort I want to put into it. If I'm just going to go out for a night, I don't want a super complex tent. I don't need anything super big. I might take a little small, dome tent or what have you. Little pup tents for me, not really my thing personally. But, in a pinch, hey, they work. My other tent that is definitely hey, I'm not going to just go camping for a night tent, is my period tent, if you will. It's a wall tent. I normally use it at rendezvous, which, if you're not familiar, is reenactment stuff. I don't particularly go into the reenactment side of things. I'm happy to dress in the clothing, the garb, if you will, and look the part. But I don't want to go out and be like, hey, I'm going to go out and play soldier in a battle that happened way a long time ago. That's not particularly what I seek out of that. For me, for a rendezvous, it's getting together with, similarly minded people on those aspects. And, going out, having a good time camping, and doing it kind of, in a fashion that's not, modern. You don't see all these bright colors of nylon. You see a bunch of white canvas tents, or in some cases, kind of yellowed canvas tents. You see teepees, lean-tos. You see all sorts of stuff. Wedge tents. I can go on and on. And I enjoy rendezvous. I've been going since technically before I was born. My mother was pregnant with me and attended a rendezvous or two. They're fun. They're enjoyable. They can be anyway. They can also be miserable. As with any camping, if you have really lousy weather, it rains for the 4 days out of 5 that you're there, or worse, all of the days that you're there. And it's going to dampen things quite a bit. When it comes to the point where literally, if you're unfortunate enough to be sleeping on the ground, you may be soaked. Which is one of the main reasons I have always tried to bring some sort of elevation, some sort of way to stay off the ground, and keep myself insulated from any potential water situations. Having done that, literally, we had a big kind of area rug set up inside the wall tent that I own, and there's no floor in a wall tent in most period tents like that. You're sleeping on the bare ground, or you have like a little wooden framework for your bed, or what have you, whatever it is you choose to set up. Well, this particular outing, we did not have a bed. We just had the area rug and a tarp and little pads for camping on, and blankets and pillows. One dry spot was about the length of a person, shorter than myself. And the other one was kind of this weird little curvy shape spot where the ground was just slightly high enough that it stayed dry. And that was the space I ended up curling up on and contorting to match. It was rather ridiculous. It was not a good night's sleep. More often than not, I've had a good time when I go camping. Very few times have I ever gone camping and went, this was not fun. And I think a good portion of that is mindset. You go out to have fun, you go out to do something. Certainly if it rains, it's going to limit perhaps what you have to do, what you have planned. But overall, if you've got, if you planned out well enough, it's not going to matter what the weather does. You can go out and enjoy things, go out and have a good time. Anyway. Moving beyond that, camping. Camper camping for me is that point of, I don't care what the weather's going to do. It doesn't matter if it's hot or cold, assuming you have an air conditioner in your camper. If you don't, take some battery-powered fans if you're in a campsite that doesn't have power, or if you don't have a generator, like myself. Campers do not have the best airflow, generally speaking. Some of the pop-ups aren't bad because you can unzip the plastic windows and get a fair amount of airflow, which is nice with the pop-ups. Standard hardwall campers, you've got some windows in it. It may help you maybe hopefully have like a top roof vent that you can let the hot air out of. But generally speaking, with a camper, the weather's not going to matter too much. I have literally camped out in a friend's backyard for a couple of nights. Several inches of snow all around me. I couldn't have taken the camper out of there at that point if I wanted to. And I had power. I had one little space heater. And it was a small little camper. It was like a 13-foot long camper. A little teardrop 1964 Scotty Sportsman camper. Very, very basic. No real amenities inside that thing. Didn't have a heater, didn't have an air conditioner, didn't have a fridge. Small little propane 2-burner stove. No running water whatsoever. No bathroom. But I was at a friend's house. I had access to the inside, so that was not really a big issue there. For places where I don't have access to a bathroom, I do have a little small camp toilet that's flushable. Has a little holding tank in there, and it's usually good for a few days. And if you're at a campground dump site, that's perfectly easy to clear out. It's not so big that it's hard to move, so you don't have to worry about that. There's no smell that comes up out of it because it is a flush and holding style camp toilet. Truthfully, I enjoy the camping side of things a lot because with any kind of camper that is not a pop-up, you can pretty much pack what you need and have it set up and ready to go. You hook up your tow vehicle to your camper and you go. And then you find some place to put your camper. Sometimes leveling a camper can be a little bit of a chore. Hopefully your camper has levels in it, little bubble levels, so you can tell when it is level. And they make jacks, they make wheel blocks that you can put under the wheels to kind of pull it onto and raise it up or lower it as needed. Various means of leveling a camper. And if it's a fancier camper and you're at a full service hookup, obviously plug your power, your water, all that in. And there's places that have internet. I have seen campers where you plug an Ethernet cable into your little post, and you plug it into the side of your camper, and suddenly you have internet inside your camper, which is really awesome. Many campers are metal. Wi-Fi, if the campground has it, may not penetrate into your camper, so keep that in mind. And you can go out and you can find plenty of videos on YouTube and other locations that talk about that in detail, ways to get around that. For me, this is more of a general concept video, just talking about various aspects of things, not focusing on any one topic, as I ever do, because I don't want to focus on one little tiny aspect of camping in great detail. I'm not an expert. I wouldn't claim to be an expert. But, you know, I've had experiences with camping, and I hope that, you know, I can provide some ideas, some concepts to consider, you know, things to be wary of. One thing I have read about is for those people with campers that hook up at a full utility site, you have to be careful of water pressure. Some locations have very high pressure water hookups, and if you go whoosh, turn that valve on while your camper's hooked up to it, and the pressure is too high, you could blow the plumbing out in your camper. Personally, I've never had a camper that had that kind of plumbing in it, so I've never had to worry. Okay, I take that back. I did have it one time at an RV. Boy, that was a mistake. I like RVs, but I don't ever want to own one again. The one experience I had owning an RV was nothing but headaches. And you should consider it a bad sign, perhaps, when the very day that you bought the RV, you drive it off the lot, take it for a test drive on the highway, and it breaks down on you. As in, the oil cooler clogs up and keeps the engine from getting oil, and you pretty much destroy the engine. Yeah. Because the RV was sold on consignment from the dealership and not from the dealership itself, the dealership didn't initially really want to help me with that. Fortunately, they did take responsibility for it. To some degree, the individual selling it, the RV, on consignment through the dealership, also stepped up. And between all of us, we were able to get things taken care of. The RV ended up having a lot more issues down the road. The main fuel tank was fine, but the gas gauge didn't work, so you never knew how much gas you had. The auxiliary tank, which the gas gauge did work on, however, had rust in it and would clog the fuel filter at the carburetor, thus resulting in a engine that would just low and just barely run. You could maybe do 10 miles an hour, which is not a good thing when you're traveling down the highway. So aside from that and various other issues with the RV, it's not a decision I would make again. As a place to be, not mechanically speaking, but comfort-wise, it was wonderful. What sold me on the camper originally was the fact that I sat down in one of the chairs at the table, and I immediately had this rush of ideas of sitting there with a laptop and typing out stories, and ideas started coming to my head, and I thought, this is an awesome thing. And I got lost in that rush of ideas, and I wanted the camper, the RV, and I bought it. I probably shouldn't have. Again, one of those decisions you make that hindsight is 20/20, and you look back on it and go, I shouldn't have done that. But I did get some use out of it. I took it on at least one float trip, which was wonderful. You know, you spend the entire day out on a canoe floating down the river. You're hot, you're tired. You get back, you have AC, and it was a wonderful thing. It was the one time that I had AC on a camping trip in that regard, and it was glorious. You know, cold food from the refrigerator, a stove and an oven that worked fine. I could have taken a shower in it if I'd wanted to, but honestly, I never bothered with it. I just used the campground unlimited hot water shower, which was nice. All in all, it was a good trip once we got there. Unbeknownst to me, the RV didn't have a jack, and of course we had a tire go out on us, and we had that happen. We had the fuel filter clog up while we were driving, which we had to pull over to the side of the road, take the doghouse off the engine inside the camper, and wait for the engine to cool down enough to touch it to be able to get to that gas, you know, that little small filter from the gas tank to the carburetor. The last thing you want to do is get gasoline all over a very hot engine. It was not a good trip. We got there several hours later than everyone else. I think I still have pictures somewhere of us holding a sign and going, "Yep, this is our luck," with the flat tire and the carburetor. It was still a good trip. Still a lot of fun. But yeah, camping in general for me is a wonderful way to relax. And the best way I have found to be able to relax is not to get stressed out about the packing aspect. Learn yourself, learn what you need to go camping, learn how to pack. Because trying to overpack is a pain. It takes way more time than it should, and you end up taking a lot more stuff than you need. Sometimes there are things that you do want to overpack for a little bit. Clothing, if you don't know what the weather's going to be, if you just have no way of predicting it accurately, and if, like many of us who live in the Midwest, realize, well, the weather's this way at the moment, and 5 minutes from now it may change. you want to pack a little bit of a variety of clothing options. You don't know if it's going to be hot and miserable, or if it's going to be cool, damp, or rainy, or weirdly enough, snow, depending on the season. You don't know. You can't necessarily accurately predict what it's going to be. But other than that, you know, some people will be like, well, I want to pack a bunch of board games in case we get bored. I want to pack a book or two to read while I'm out there. And it's going to depend how long you're going to be out there, how many people you're with, what the general activities that you have planned are. For me, I have tried packing games, and sometimes I could, pack cards or a little small game, something that doesn't take up a lot of space. It's perfectly fine if you've got enough other people going that are going to want to play. One thing I have found is that sure, you can take a couple of games out there, but if no one else wants to play the game, it kind of ends up being just wasted space, wasted time packing. I've known people who brought an entire set of D&D books. Three D&D books. Didn't do a thing with them, didn't even touch them throughout several days. And it's like you spend all this time packing, you pack these books that are extra weight. Why? So, one thing I will definitely tell you are going to want to pack: toiletries. Even if you're going to a campground toilet paper, if indeed there's any at all at the campsite, is probably going to be some of the roughest stuff you're ever going to find outside of like sandpaper. There's a few campgrounds that have used stuff that I would compare to sandpaper. So yeah, pack your own. Pack a couple of rolls, because not only is toilet paper good for its intended purposes, it's also good for if your nose starts to get runny, you got to wipe up a little spill or something like that. If you don't have paper towels on hand, I recommend paper towels, but just in case you don't have any or you can't get to some quick enough, toilet paper is always a good friend to have at your side. Ways to make fire. Because whether you're lighting a stove, whether you're lighting a grill or a campfire, you're going to want some way to make fire. Preferably easy, unless you're one of those types who really likes using little magnesium fire starters to sit there and make sparks on to eventually light something. I've tried lighting a tiki torch with a magnesium fire starter. It wasn't fun. It took a long time. I did eventually get it lit. For the space and the effort and the time that you're going to invest in that, unless you are the type who enjoys that aspect of camping. And again, it all comes back to that. But unless you're that type that enjoys that, a cheap little 99-cent Bic lighter will do just fine. Personally, I recommend some of the camp lighters, particularly the ones that are kind of like the jet as opposed to just the little flame like a lighter would put out. The jet ones are really good for actually getting things like really started on fire fast. They get very hot. Lots of uses. Years ago, a lot of people would have had the old, like the old, Coleman style lanterns. You put the fuel into it, you pressurize it. You open the valve on it, and you can hear the gas hissing out, and you light the little cloth. I don't know what they're made out of, phosphorus bags or something like that. They're little mesh bags, essentially, over the mantles. And, they'd light up on fire, and you'd have to be careful not to burn the crap out of them, otherwise they wouldn't work. These days, we've gone from, bulbs to fluorescent tubes to now LEDs. And the LED lanterns are wonderful. They're comparatively lightweight. They use a heck of a lot less batteries. I've still got an older fluorescent lantern that uses like 8 D-cell batteries. Thing is hefty. I wouldn't want it swung at my head. So you're definitely gonna want light sources to take camping as well. Unless you don't plan on being outside at night whatsoever. But keep in mind, the unexpected does happen, and especially when you're camping, you don't know what you're going to run into, you don't know what you're going to need. So I think the end lesson of that is go prepared, but not so much so that you're weighing yourself down that it's no longer fun. When you're spending more time packing than you are enjoying going camping, I think the point has kind of been missed. So with that, I'm almost to work, and I will leave you with that thought of take care, be safe, and be happy. Bye.